Get your comms up. Get your comms up. Get your comms up.
The Panther Comms Podcast with Timmy VO.
Hello, Panther fans. Welcome to Panther Fan Friday on the Panther Comms Podcast. So, Scott Fitterer had his interview a couple days ago. You know, he was asked questions about what they're looking at in terms of Pickett and, you know, what's the next step in terms of, you know, maybe signing Cam back. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe his words were, we like to sit down and talk to Cam. And when they brought him back last year, midseason, they mentioned how if anything, and this is coming from Scott Fitterer, if anything comes about Cam, we would love to sit down and talk to you regardless. So I mean that's a really good thing. That's a really good thing. I like to hear that personally. I again, it's a prove it league. I mean you can't dismiss what Cam does in terms of leadership and energy for the team. You can't dismiss that. And on the flip side, Sam Darnold has not really shown that he has that it factor when the ship is starting to sink. So I think personally, from a business standpoint, and as a fan, it would be absolutely, it would be a bonehead idea not to bring Cam back, just to get asses in the seats, just to get folks to come to the games, right, and give the offense some life. You know, there's a reason why we haven't heard from Tepper. You know, he's not a. He's the type of guy. No, he'll talk his shit when you know when everything's all fine and dandy. But when shit hits the fan, you know, he's gonna be unavailable for a little while. I can't blame him, to be honest with you. He sold everybody on this Matt Rule hire, and yeah, so it is what it is. But Scott Fitterer also was talking about maybe, you know, drafting the best player available, and how, you know, drafting a need is a dangerous situation. And he's right. You never want to draft from a desperate position. At the same time, ladies and gentlemen, let's not kid ourselves. The Carolina Panthers are in no position to be drafting BPA. We have glaring needs at the offensive line position. People say we have a glaring need at the quarterback position. No shit. I give you two reasons why we don't need to draft a quarterback. $18 million in Cam Newton. They got to pay Sam Darnold, and I don't see anybody taking this man. I mean, who wants to take that type of contract from somebody who potentially might not even play a full season, or will get out there and shit the bed again? Because every single year we have proof, empirical proof, data, statistics, that Sam Darnold can't get it done. And Sam, if you're listening to this, man, if you're hearing this right now, bro, I don't hate you as a person. I mean, I don't. Life is too short. But you're on a squad that I pay money to go see and support. And quite frankly, son, you're not getting it done. You know, and partially it's not your fault. Quite frankly, you should have walked after this season. But no, somebody want to pick up your 5th-year option or your final year option, and I just I still don't understand why they pull the trigger on that. But you know, it's not the end of the world, Sam. But you're just not Cam. I mean, it's not your fault, man. This franchise brought you into a situation that was no better, actually potentially worse than the Jets. not your fault. But it is a reality. And that reality is forcing us to look elsewhere. God, I can't believe we picked up that last year on his contract without seeing this man finish a full season. Or even have a stellar season his last year in New York. But I'm not going to harp on that, man. That's beating a dead horse. This Pickett kid, he looked good throwing the football. Okay. He's in shorts. He's in spandex and gloves. And the people are just oozing over this kid. I'm not impressed like that. He's not a Lamar Jackson to me. He's not a Russell Wilson to me. Now, granted, these guys have played the game and have had stellar seasons as quarterbacks. But I particularly remember these young men when they came out of college, and Pickett's his game footage just doesn't scream to me like that. He got some good games, but we all know the competition is completely different when you get to the league. So that forces one to look at what the franchise has to offer when he steps on home plate, when he comes to the crib. What we got going for him? Carolina Panthers can't boast on anything right now other than defense, and we potentially could be losing our best pass rusher. No knock on Spider-Man, bro. I love you, Burns. Well, Hassan, he balled the hell out last year. you would have meant the same thing, bro. Hassan just balled the hell out last year. That was ridiculous. And I understand the reason again why they signed Ian, but the fact that they didn't sign Marquise Haynes, that bothers me. I don't know if it's an agent thing. I don't know if it's a contractual thing, but the fact that we didn't get Marquise back is he should not be lingering. He's been steadfast coming off the bench behind these guys, man. He's steadfast. Love the kid. But Pickett, I mean, he's a good quarterback, obviously. He has some measurements. That hand thing, I don't know. Can he throw the football? I don't give a damn what his hands are like. Can he throw the football? Obviously he can. Played in the D1 program, balled out. Was a Heisman candidate, if I'm not mistaken. His hand measurements. Shut the hell up. Give a damn how big his hand. What does a football do when it leaves his hands? What's his accuracy like? What's his timing like? Look fine to me. But again, he's in shorts and a t-shirt or spandex top or whatever. It doesn't tell me much. And this franchise doesn't look like they have anything that can support him coming here immediately in terms from an offensive line standpoint. I have to say, a prime example that the Carolina Panther franchise should take in terms of building from the ground up is what the Dallas Cowboys did when they drafted those offensive linemen, and they wind up having 3, maybe even 4 Pro Bowlers on the same O line. You saw what Zeke did when he got there. It's amazing. Now, if we can have something of that caliber, maybe just 1 or 2 Pro Bowlers, but something of that caliber and the cohesiveness with that offensive line with the new coach that we brought on, if we can have a remnants of what the Cowboys did with their O-line, it'll be stellar. It'll be amazing, and it'll do wonders for us. It really would. So, but yeah, Pickett. I mean, he looks good. I know reports are going around that the Panthers are really, really high on this kid. I don't think drafting a quarterback is going to do anything for us this year. If we're going to utilize free agency, we need to plug in the holes on defense. Our offense right now, you have veterans or the potential to bring in an additional veteran to the quarterback room. I mean, again, we're paying $18 million for this kid, and I really don't think anybody's gonna pick up Sam Darnold in the trade. So I do hope I'm wrong. Don't get me wrong. I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see Sam going anywhere. So again, you're gonna have two quarterbacks already. You got him, and PJ potentially, and then you can't. We don't need a quarterback, folks. We don't. We need to make sure that we get this offensive line right. And considering we're missing a critical, mind you, because of Sam Darnold, a second and third round pick, that just hypes up the situation. Could we draft and trade? Potentially. I mean, after yesterday, seeing some of these skill players. I mean, I know the buzz is going to be going around, and and everybody loves Malik. I mean, God Almighty, what a guy! So could it be a draft and trade situation? Yeah, it could be, because ultimately our needs are many, our draft picks are few. So yes, we do need additional picks to make sure that we can have a sound foundation for whoever we draft next year. Again, folks, you're not going to make or break a team with drafting a quarterback in the top 5 if your team is shit. Coaching staff on. Now, the reason I say is shit in regards to our coaching staff is because we don't have a product on the field that we can necessarily assess and be like, oh, well, okay, this coaching staff is going to get it done. Great, we can bring in We don't have any of that. We brought in a slew of assistants and a new coordinator on offense. I know, folks, you get antsy, and I completely understand that as a Panther fan. Completely understand that, but the logical side of me is like, there's no need to bring in a Pickett, a Willis. There's no reason to bring in these guys, a first round quote unquote quarterback this season with this team. There's no reason to do that. No reason at all, because all you're going to do is either put the kid in a situation where they're going to fail, or you're going to potentially give them bad habits. Sam Darnold, and trying to adapt to a foul situation, basically. Spending the first round pick on somebody who's going to sit the bench, that chaps my hide, especially when they're sitting behind somebody who's not accomplished. And folks, you already know it's going to be a little weird having Cam in OTAs and training camp and all those other things, on top of having Willis next to him when you have Sam Darnold making $18 million. It's gonna be weird. I'm sorry, because Cam and Malik they're gonna hit it off. They're going to hit it off. Hell, they've probably been communicating behind closed doors anyway. Right? There's going to be a relationship that already exists, and you're going to have Sam kind of on the outside looking in, kind of, sort of. People can say what they want in broad daylight, but ultimately, that's going to be an awkward situation. From that standpoint, I see why people say they don't want Cam to come back. I think Cam can coexist. I'm not quite sure Sam's confidence is good enough. And after what we saw, with how Matt Rule handling Cam's situation last year, especially during pressers, I was not very happy with that. But I'm not quite sure how Cam will take that situation. But it'll be a little awkward. I'll be curious to see how that pans out. But having Cam back on this team will be a very good idea. In that regard, if we bring Cam back, drafting a quarterback might not be a good idea unless we're going to trade back for picks. That'll be in my eyes, that'll be the only scenario where we need to draft a quarterback is to get picks, honestly, or drafting some type of just top 10 talent, quote unquote, and get picks out of it. Because if we can get what would be considered a top 5 pick for somebody who has a need in the mid first round and they're willing to throw in a third rounder, go for it. Pull the trigger. If we can get a mid first and a decent third round, or maybe even a late second, a late first, late second out of that top 6 pick, excuse me, I think that'll really benefit us even more. And who knows how the chips fall? We could still get a quarterback that's relatively decent in the late second, and get a hellacious O lineman in the late first. And still get another offensive lineman or a potentially, in my eyes, I think we need to go middle linebacker in the third round. Shaq had a great year last year, but we need a bona fide middle linebacker, somebody who's gonna plug up those A gaps and be able to get back zone coverage kind of situation and provide a kind of like a no-fly zone for that football over the middle. We missed that because of course Luke could do both. But anyway. So yeah, if you want to call in on the Panther Comms podcast, the number is up there on the screen for you. It's 336-803-8188. And yeah, this is how we roll.
Get your comms up.
The Panther Comms podcast with Timmy VO.